name is Abiagel Komu, and I am the network manager at NaiBAN, and I also invest with the NaiBAN members. So if I look at it from a network perspective, from NaiBAN, I think any deal that comes in and members bring it in and it goes successfully through the process, and we have members actually investing in it, and after the startup has pitched, is a successful deal. What I would say is where we see our members come in and really rally behind the founders and really rally behind the idea and the solution that they're bringing on board, is where we'll see a lot of members actually also come in and invest in it. And so, so where there's at least one founder that comes in and at least one angel that comes in and invests, I say, that's for the network, it's a successful deal. But of course, we've seen deals where we've had institutional investors come in, we've had 19 plus members come in, and I think that's a testament to the kind of problem that's being solved, the kind of solution that's being solved, and the team that's actually behind the startup solving the problem. Yeah, so for the network and the way in which we invest, it depends. So there are members who invest because they see the value behind the startup and they see the problem that they're solving and they see that they can actually help them, whether it's in terms of capital, whether it's in terms of connections, customers, mentorship, coaching, and so on. And so the level of involvement depends. What we also do as NaiBAN is we support the startups. So we usually have support clinics where the startups will come and say, this is where we are with the business, this is where we need assistance, and then any member of the 100 plus angels that we have within the network is able to offer their support regardless of whether they've invested in the startup or not. And I think that's a value of having such a network where you don't have to support the startups just because you invested in them, but just generally because you can and you have access to connections and customers and so on, and you are part of the network. So that's also the value that you bring beyond capital. As a network, NaiBAN, we invest in tech and tech-enabled businesses, and you will find that a lot of our members will have different interests in different sectors. And so once they bring in a deal, then we will assess it based on a few I would say criteria. One is the passion of the founder. Are they passionate about this business? Are they do they sleep and wake up thinking about what is the problem and how can I solve this problem in the best way that I know how? And so we look for that tenacity in the founder. And then the second one is we look at, is the problem big enough? Here we're looking at also scalability. Do you have a lot of people that have the same problem that can be addressed by this one startup, or many startups, have many people also solving for it? So we know that there's a big enough problem there. And then thirdly, I think we look at, do you have a paying customer? And so when you have a paying customer, it means that there's actually somebody out there who is really pained by this problem and is willing to part with the money to give it to you. I think risk, I think with angel investing, it is a risky business. It is a risky asset class. And so, you must be willing to lose the amount of money that you invest. I think that's why it's high risk, high returns. But at the same time, we also do our due diligence. We also try and speak to people within the similar ecosystems to see what's happened before, what do you think is going to happen in the future. But I don't know if there's a way in which you can de-risk it because of all the unknowns in between. So I think invest in as many as you can, and you hope that the 2 or 3 or 4 that will make it will make up for the rest that you've invested in. Yeah, but I don't think I think it's important to invest because then you're taking a risk, and if one business doesn't work out, I think it's also a learning. I wouldn't say it's a failure; it's a learning to the ecosystem. What can be done, what works, what doesn't work, and maybe the next person that comes in might get it right. And so, yeah, I think the thing is around diversification, and also knowing that sometimes it might work out, sometimes it might not, and it's okay, and you should be okay with losing that particular investment. Yeah. So our deal flow, the startups come through the network, 100 plus members, and so typically, within the month or during the month, they would nominate startups that they want to see pitch, and they usually say, this is the reason I'm excited about these startups. And then, we go ahead and we put it to a poll and we say, of this, however many they are, which ones would you really want to see pitch? And we give, of course, the investors, the angel investors within the network time to, look through the deal that has been brought in, ask any questions and so on. Then we invite the top two to come and pitch every first week of the month. And then after that, then we will go through, the process of understanding. Okay, so asking our members, what did you think about the deal? Would you invest? If so, yes. If not, why? And then, if there is interest from the members, then we go ahead and, do a bit more in terms of due diligence to understand the business further. We can also engage we also engage internally as well as we engage the startup. We have additional questions. And then if we do get to the point where we invest, we, each of us goes back and says how much are we willing to put into the investment. We collect the money, set up a special purpose vehicle, an SPV, and then invest, and then support the startup thereafter. Okay. Yeah, if we don't, then we'll get back to the founder and we'll say, these are the things that we found exciting about your business. I think these are where some of our members had questions, but we always leave the door open and we ask them to come back to us and to send us some updates. Maybe down the line, we'll be able to speak to them again and go through the investment process. Yeah, but either way, whether we invest or not, we do get back to the founders and we try and tell them this is the reason we're investing or not investing. This is particularly my case. If you look at investing in a startup, in a business, there are various levels of investment, right? And sometimes, when your family member comes and asks you for money, if your friend comes and asks you for money and you give them some money, I do think that is some level of angel investing, because you're parting with your money to actually invest in an idea or a person who you think can solve some problem for someone somewhere. Yeah. And so, I'd start at that level. I think it's recognizing that, each of us, as long as you've been able to fund somebody's dream, you are an angel investor in some way or another. And then the second one is, for our network particularly, we like to encourage young people. And we do see in our network, we have young people and we have women who come in and invest, not only invest, but also offer, support and in other areas other than capital. So I think about 40% of our members are females, I think, which is good, because then we have diversity when it comes to supporting startups and even just within the network in terms, because we learn a lot from each other. Yeah. So starting off, recognizing that friends and family are angel investors, and then also understanding the investment criteria. And I think your own individual investment, we call pieces. You like to invest on your own, and there are many people who are investing on their own in terms of equity, in terms of debt, depending on what your model is, but also investing in a group like we do here at NaiBAN, which I find more and more is becoming, I don't know if I want to say popular, but I find personally when I joined NaiBAN, I've really learned a lot about not only the sector that I'm in, which is, I always thought I would invest in financial and technology companies, fintech, and anything around payments. But I've seen businesses in healthcare, I've seen businesses in agri, I've seen businesses in what you call it, the same businesses in procurement, you know. I think you just learn to look at problems and how they can be solved in the best way possible, and then, you know, just have a general understanding of what that would look like down the road for yourself as an investor, if you want to invest in collectively or if you want to invest on your own. The other thing I see is hopefully we'll have more collaboration, so that, you know, in Kenya you find that you have a few angel networks, and so if you can come together at some point and if we look at businesses and we find that, you know, that we can all invest in them, so that, you know, we also have big businesses, scalable business, not only within Kenya but within East Africa and Africa as a whole, in the continent, we'll be able to see more businesses being supported by individuals, you know, that can then raise additional rounds and be able to solve some of Africa's biggest problems. So we do have startups that come to us and come to our members as well, but we also have instances where, you know, we look for them, we find them, right? So it's a mix. They come in through our networks, because Nick and I also invest, so we count ourselves as part of the network. But we also find that there are some that we want to look at and invest in, and so, I mean, it's either way.